Why does employee selection seem like such a hit and miss, hire and hope kind of a process for so many companies?
Let me ask you a couple questions. Number one, using your traditional employee selection methods, you hired some good employees.
Yes.
Question number two, using those exact same methods, have you hired people you wish you hadn't hired?
God, yes.
So what have you learned?
Not much, I'm afraid.
Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. So here's the thing. There was a study done by Michigan State University School of Business on predicting success in the workplace. And what it found was that pre-employment testing was the #1 predictor of future success by a 3-to-1 margin over interviews, past experience, and education. And what do most people rely on? Interviews, past experience, and education. But let's break it down. So would you agree that a decision is only as sound as the facts on which they're based?
Yes.
Okay, so if you're an interviewer, and I saw an article back in the day by Restaurants and Institutions magazine that said 72 or 73% of applications contain embellishments. I've seen articles in Inc. magazine and Entrepreneur that suggest that 1/3 of resumes are embellished. So let's shoot right down the middle for easy math and say that 50% of the information that you as an employer are getting about an applicant is embellished. The bigger challenge is which half? Yet you're still expected to conduct a meaningful interview and make a decision. But that's hard to do if the facts in which you're making those decisions are suspect at best. You can do background checks, and by the way, you should.
Right.
But background checks only show you that someone's been caught and successfully prosecuted. What about people who did things they weren't supposed to but weren't caught?
Right.
Or weren't prosecuted successfully even though they did things they weren't supposed to? You could do drug tests. Well, that's great, but I like to think that is a liquid intelligence test because the sign says on your front door, hey, drug testing or testing for illegal drugs is something that's contingent upon our applicants and whatnot. So, liquid intelligence test, all they need to do is stay clean for 30 days, pass the test, and go back to whatever they're doing. Reference checks, people should do reference checks. But guess what? Not everyone's out there giving the names of people who are going to say they're lazy and irresponsible.
You only give out references of people who you know are going to give you good references.
Exactly
you
right.
don't give out names of people who give bad references.
Now, and I'm not, and make no mistake, there's still people that you should check references because guess what? There are people that are going to tell the truth and you're going to find out. You still should do drug tests because guess what? There are people that are going to fail drug tests. I mean, you should still do these things, but I think that if you as an employer don't do everything within your power to legally gather as much job-related information as you possibly can about an applicant without checking first, it's like playing Russian roulette without checking all the chambers of the weapon first.
Right.
You got to cover your bases. So if you're going to ask me what the ideal employee selection process would look like, it will have pre-employment tests for skill, attitude, personality, behavior. It'll have background checks. It'll have drug tests. It'll have reference checks. It'll have a trial period, which, by the way, was the #2 most effective method according to the Michigan State University School of Business study on predicting success in the workplace. Trial periods were the second most effective method behind pre-employment testing. So if you want to know about how to get to do the best that you can, then your selection process should be fair, consistent, and involve all those steps.
That's interesting. That's good advice. How would you describe the ideal employee selection process that we've been talking about?
One just like I described. It contains every single step, everything within your power, every avenue that you can legally take to gather job-related information is being utilized. That's the key to it.
Okay.